Hi, I'm Kyle. I've decided I'm going to throw my hat in on the YouTube shooter game here, and I'm going to do a Q&A. Now, nobody sent me any questions because, well, I'm not that popular. So anyway, I stole all my questions from Truthslayer. He's a guy that I watch a lot. I really dig his videos and stuff. He just sits there and talks about wrestling, kind of what I'm going to be doing. So I'm going to post a link to his channel and his video on the side here, the one that I stole the questions from. And let's get to it. Well, just so you know, he has a partnership account and is allowed to make long videos, and I'm not. So this will probably be broken up into a couple of parts. Anyway, the first question is from some guy that I really can't pronounce his name. He's Japanese or some shit, or he likes Japanese people. I don't know, but his name is Kiyomoshi or some stupid thing like that. His question is, I've noticed when Jarrett was world champion in WCW, Russo was having his run there as well. Do you think Vince Russo still having his job in TNA, despite low quality shows, is due to the possibility that Jeff Jarrett might still be grateful for Russo putting him over as a main eventer and 4-time world champion in WCW? Yes, it might be. Basically, yeah, from what I hear, those two guys are buddies, and so that might be why they're buddies. It might be from something else. I mean, obviously they were together earlier than that in the WWE. Although Jarrett really, you know, he wasn't a major player in WWE. He wasn't the bottom of the barrel either. So who knows? It might be just because they knew each other from WWE, and so Russo thought he could put Jarrett over in WCW, and now Jarrett's thankful. That might be part of the reason why he's still there. Smefan asks, I keep hearing people say that they should put guys like Brian Kendrick or John Morrison or Paul London or Evan Bourne in the main event. All cruiserweight type guys, and if you have them compete for the world heavyweight title, heavyweight is all capital S here, wouldn't it make the title look bad? Like having guys like Big Show and Khali in the mid-card, but guys like Evan Bourne and Brian Kendrick for the main event? Alright, that's an interesting question, because on one hand, yeah, it is the world heavyweight title, but then again, I mean, the belt's been held by a lot of, like, not such big guys. I mean, Edge is not the biggest guy in the world. Shawn Michaels is not the biggest guy in the world. You know, it's not like the title is restricted only to heavy guys. I mean, Eddie Guerrero held the belt. He was considered a cruiserweight in WCW. Chris Benoit held the belt. He was considered a cruiserweight in WCW. Rey Mysterio's held the belt, and if there's no better example than that, then I don't know what to say. But the argument here is that the most entertained people should be in the main events. And now, let's face it, London, Kendrick, Morrison, Evan Bourne, all these guys are phenomenal athletes, and, you know, their matches are consistently excellent. Whereas guys like Big Show and Great Khali, sometimes, more often than not, in fact, their matches are skunky and stinky and not something you really want to watch, right? Because it's, I mean, they make for good giant heels and stuff once in a while, but their match quality is not the greatest. So I can see the argument there, but then again, you got to consider that it's not all about match quality. It's kind of, you know, it is kind of unrealistic for a guy like Brian Kendrick to beat the shit out of a guy like the Big Show or the Great Khali. Would I like to see them in the main event? Sure, once in a while. I don't think I'd like to see them, you know, as consistent contenders for the world championship as the top of the company. Not just yet, anyway. They might break out and become good enough for that sort of thing, but I don't think right now is the time. And besides, Great Khali, He's not in the main event right now anyway. Thank God he was for a short period of time. Hopefully he never will be again, because his matches are utter garbage. Also, I'd have to bag him in the same position with Vladimir Kozlov. He's another one that just fucking stinks, and I don't want to watch him wrestle. Megezi for Life asks, do you think if WWE hired a group of wrestlers for each titles would be more prestigious, like having wrestlers come in especially for the IC and US title or tag division? Do you think it would be better for TNA's X division to have separate writers? Oh, it's asking, do you think if WWE hired a group of writers for each title, not wrestlers? I don't know, because that would kind of mess with the continuity of the show. Like, because if you've got a writer writing all the storylines for the IC title and a writer writing all the storylines for the WWE title, and both those titles are on the same show, it's going to conflict, because obviously there's only so much TV time in the thing. So I think it's better to have one guy just overlook the whole show and write the whole show. Now, I know that's not exactly how it works, but I think that would be the most effective way. I mean, that's the way it was in ECW and such with Paul Heyman, so I think that would probably be the best way to go about it, because then you don't get a whole bunch of confusion and clusterfucks. Comic Book Sexy 88 asks, Dear T-Slay, yes, again, I am stealing these questions from T-Slay. He goes on to say, I love your vids. Well, I like his vids too. That's why I stole the questions from him. His question is, what is your opinion of Brian Pillman? Do you like him, hate him, and do you think he will get in the Hall of Fame one day? Now, to be honest, I pretty much started watching wrestling in 1999. That's when I really got hooked into it. You know, I'd seen a little bit of shit before that, but I mean, not something I religiously watched, whereas now, you know, I do watch it quite frequently and religiously. So Brian Pillman was already dead by the time I started watching wrestling. So everything I've seen of Brian Pillman is post stuff that has already happened. From what I've seen, I like him. I think he's great. He paved the way for a lot of cruiserweights. I do. Over there is my DVD collection of wrestling videos. The bottom 4 drawers are all wrestling DVDs. And one of those DVDs is the Brian Pillman DVD that was released by WWE. And yeah, I have a high opinion of Brian Pillman. I keep calling him Brian Kendrick. I guess they're kind of similar nowadays. They remind me of each other anyway. But yeah, one of those DVDs is the Brian Pillman DVD from WWE, and I have a high opinion of him. I think he's totally deserving to go into the Hall of Fame. Daskla Chow asks, who would you select as the next ROH champion to dethrone Nigel McGuinness, and why? Now, obviously, everybody already knows that Jerry Lynn has already done this Q&A. These questions were posted quite a while ago. So I'm going to change Nigel McGuinness to Jerry Lynn. So basically the question is going to be, who would you select as the next ROH champion to dethrone Jerry Lynn, and why? I'd like to see somebody become the first 2-time champion. So I'm going to say, like, I wouldn't mind seeing Bryan Danielson get the title back. I think he would be pretty good. Also, Tyler Black, of course, he's high up there on the list. And maybe even Austin Aries. I think, yeah, I'd like to see any of those guys, especially Bryan Danielson and Austin Aries, because I'd like to see the first 2-time champ. I think that would be like a special thing.